Let's go JavaScripting! Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting edition of Boring JavaScript. I'm your host, the Virtual White, aka Mike Smith, and today we're taking a look at the while command and its cousin, the do while pattern. Now both of those are constructions or patterns that allow you to loop through iterable objects, but both of them allow you to control how that looping operates. Real simple to use. Want to see how they work? Let's get started. So let's first take a look at the while command. Like I said, it's very easy to use. And basically what the while command says is I will execute code within a particular block while a certain condition remains true. So in this particular case here, I have my while on line 14 here, and the block that I have defined is between lines 14 and 17. And again, like I said, it's very simple to use. The while command will say I will execute everything here within the block, which in this case is line 15 and 16, while this particular argument is true. So in this particular case, what I'm saying here is that while my variable index is less than the length of my animals array, and my animals array is right up here, as long as that evaluates to true, execute everything over inside the block. So I've set my index to 0 because, again, remember in JavaScript, the first index of any array is always index number 0. And I want to continue to execute this particular block while index is less than animals.length. Now the thing to remember with doing the while loop is that you control how the looping occurs. So the thing here is that JavaScript's not going to automatically increment index for you. You're going to have to do it yourself. And I've done it here in line number 16. And the plus plus is an increment operator, which we just talked about actually last week in our Boring JavaScript, which will increment the value of our variable by 1. So first time through here, my index, is going to be 0, so I should be able to pull up cat. Index is going to be incremented by 1. Is 1 less than the length? And the length that happens to be 9. Well, yes, it is. So execute again. We'll increment again. Is the length? Then I'll test again. Is the length? Is index less than the length? Again, it is. And so on and so forth until we get to the very last one, which index is 8 and the animals.length is 9. Is 8 less than 9? Sure. So execute all this, and then index will get incremented with 1. Then it'll come up and say, is index less than animals.length? Is 9 less than 9? No, it's not. Since now that comparison has come up to be false, it stops execution and will execute anything that is after that particular block. So again, with the while loop, it will execute everything within the block as long as this comparison evaluates to true. So it tests the comparison, then it executes. You want to see how it works? Let's take a quick look. Let's go over to Node, and let's type in node while. Yep, work like a champ. My animal is at index 0 is cat, number 1 is dog, number 2 is horse, count all the way over to number 8, which is Larry the lizard. So just to kind of show you exactly how that while loop works, let's flip back over to our code. And now I'm going to set my index starting at animals.length, which means animals.length is 9, so index is going to start at 9. So again, the while construct or the while command will test first before it executes the code. So is 9 less than 9? No, it's not. So if I run this program again, it should not execute that code whatsoever. Let's test it out and find out. Let's go back over to Node. Let's clear our screen off. Go to node while. And yep, no console.log. So everything worked like a champ. Worked exactly the way it's supposed to. So again, the while command will test an expression. And if that expression is true, then it will execute a block of code. And while that expression is true, it will continue to execute that block of code. Next, we're going to take a look at the do while construct or pattern. So now let's take a look at the do while pattern. As you can tell here, it looks pretty much exactly the same as the while. For instance, here's our while that we just looked at, and here's our do while. Notice the change in line 14. The while is now up here. Well, now we've got a do, and the while is on line 17. And this basically works the exact same way. An expression is tested and a loop is executed as long as that expression remains to be true. So it should work exactly the same way. Let's take a look at the, let's go over to node. Can't get my word straight there. Let's type in node do. Yeah, I got the exact same thing here. Animal indexes 0 is cat and dog and horse all the way to lizard. So yeah, it worked the exact same way. So let's go ahead and just do the last test that we had done before with the while, and let's set our initial animals index to animals.length. So index is going to start at 9, and of course 9 is not less than 9, so it shouldn't execute it should not execute the block there, and everything should be fine. So let's click over to node. And let's just clear off the screen and go to node do, and oh, boom, crash, tinkle, 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 tinkle. What the heck happened here? It says it cannot read property type of undefined. So there's type. So it's saying that animal's index is undefined. What could have happened there? Well, let's take a look at the code and I'll tell you exactly what happened. Now, if we go back to the while, remember I said that the while will basically test the expression, and if that expression is true, it will continue to execute the block. Again, test the expression. If the expression is true, you execute the block. The do operates just a little bit different, and this will be a huge gotcha if you're not careful. It basically does the same thing. You know, it tests the expression and will execute the block. But the difference here is that the do while will execute the block first, then test the expression. So that's the key difference here. So on the while, the expression is tested first, then the block is executed. In the do while, the block is executed first before the expression is tested. So what happened here is that animals.length is 9. So it first did the block. So my animal index is number 9 is a animal's index of type. Well, there is no such thing as animal at index number 9 because the last index is this one, index number 8. So since this is undefined or comes back as undefined, there is no type property on undefined. And that's the reason we got that ugly little error. So that's one of the key things you have to remember about the do loop. Let me just change this back to 0, is that when you're doing do while, the expression is tested after the block is executed at least one time. So how can you tell the difference if you're looking at the code? Well, the key difference here is where the while is located. If the while is located before the block, it is tested first before any execution occurs with the block. If the while is at the end of the block, it is tested after at least one execution of the block. So that's very important to remember here. So again, if you're using do while, you can guarantee that your block will be executed at least one time. When you're doing the while, there's no guarantee it's going to get executed at all based upon the expression. So that's the big difference to remember between the two. Again, the do will execute the block at least one time because the while is at the end of the block, while the while will execute it only after the expression has been tested. And that's all there is for the while command and its cousin, the do while pattern. I hope you enjoyed our video. Hope I didn't bore you to death. Please make sure you click on the like button below and subscribe to this channel for more exciting boring JavaScript videos. Plus, you can go to www.boringjavascript.com to see all the videos we've produced, or go to www.thevirtuoid.com to see everything that we do. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.